Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. We are about a week, or a little over a week away from the real true kickoff to earnings season, and obviously I want earnings to get here soon, but the reality is that we still have a little time. So this coming week, I'm antsy and I want to trade earnings, but I also want to trade quality setups, right? So just because there aren't that many names on the calendar, it doesn't mean I want to play all of them, right? So that's definitely something I want to say before we start because there are really only like a handful of names even like scheduled, and the temptation is to play all of them just because there is only maybe like four, five, six names. But again, really want to focus on quality setups. All right. So before the open on Monday, and actually even after the close on Monday, there's absolutely nothing scheduled. Tuesday before the open, paychecks. They're pricing in about 4.5 points. Those are monthly options, though. Um, the chart, it looks decent, but historically, it's really not much of a mover on earnings. And again, like just because it's the only name before the open on Tuesday, the temptation is there to just play it because you're saying, oh, I want to be in earnings, I'm getting ready for earnings season, like it's the only name on the calendar, so it's got to move. But it just doesn't have that historical pattern of really getting significant pops or drops on the numbers. So I think personally I'm probably going to avoid it. I haven't traded the stock in years, and I think that there's going to be better opportunities. After the close on Tuesday, Levi's. So about $1.50 is what's priced in, but those are monthly options. It's been a very disappointing IPO. Really has not had any traction at any point since coming public, and I mean, especially now in like the COVID environment, just a tough scenario for retailers. I guess the way I view it, and there's a couple other retailers that'll be reported in the next 2-3 weeks that I view kind of the same. It's like I want to see if the numbers are improved. I want to see the numbers get better, and then if Levi specifically, if it can get up through like 15, right, and start to reclaim some big levels, then maybe I'll get involved for like some sort of swing trade, a longer term swing trade to see if there's like a sustained rebound. But like earnings wise, like I just it doesn't seem that interesting to me for a trade because it really hasn't had a whole lot of life down here. This type of pattern for retail has really been tough too. So I'm probably going to avoid it for an earnings trade, but I'll definitely keep an eye on it if it can really put together a good quarter or better than feared quarter, reclaim some big levels, and start to get momentum going. Before the open on Wednesday, Lim Wesson. So about 6 points is what's priced in. Monthly options, though. I haven't traded this name in a long time either, and I'm not a huge fan of the staples at the moment. Action really hasn't been great there, and I guess the only reason I'm even watching Lam Wesson is because, again, the calendar's kind of light. I'd say maybe more so than like Levi's or Paychecks. This one maybe like a low debit, something speculative, because if it is good and it gets above 70, could be a pretty nice move. And actually, this is a name, surprisingly, like you wouldn't think, but there have been some quarters when it's had some real big moves on earnings. So it's not a high conviction idea, but maybe look at something low debit, maybe something speculative on the bull side. After the close Wednesday, nothing before the open on Thursday. So Domino's, maybe the highest profile name next week. About 29, 30 points is what's priced in. They've had back-to-back blowout quarters and back-to-back muted / weak reactions. It has not been rewarded for strong earnings since May's report. Obviously, February is a different story, but since the pandemic started and since the numbers have really turned like amazing for Domino's, it just has not been rewarded. So to me, like at 29 to 30 points, options seem real pricey considering the recent movement on earnings, and that probably makes this an avoid for me. But Papa John's PZZA could be a pretty decent sympathy play, so I might look at it. I might look at that as like kind of like a play on Domino's numbers. Acuity. So about 10.5 points is what's priced in on this. Those are monthly options. Um, Historically, big mover. Also historically a consistent mover. So I feel like, I go with history on this. I mean, there have been a lot of big moves in either direction. Last quarter was good, and a lot of housing, home related things have been acting fantastic. So I thought that this was one that could have a rally or a ramp into the report. So I'm looking personally for like a move higher ahead of time, and then when it actually reports, then that could be a scenario where there might be some sort of strategy, or might set up well for a strategy, maybe like a strangle or straddle, something volatility related. Because again, I mean, it does have a pretty consistent history of moving. Also has a pretty consistent history of moving more than what options are pricing in. So I feel like there could be a couple different things going on here, but this one to me could set up well for a volatility strategy, depending on where it is the day of its earnings release. And then lastly, Helen of Troy. So another kind of like consumer discretionary staple type name. 19 points is what's priced in this. Those are monthly options. Uh, what, what's interesting about Helen of Troy is that they tend to really just clobber numbers, and they're pretty consistent too. I mean, like rain or shine, seems like they beat. And it has actually had some pretty big moves too on earnings. So for kind of like a steady Eddie type business, I mean, there have been some really big beats and some really big moves. It's stalled around 200, and it's below where it was after the July report here. I don't trade it often, but I feel like if it kind of stays down in this range or maybe in like the lower 90s, I might look at something speculative on the bull side just to see if it's another good report and if you get like a pent up breakout through kind of like this 200 to 210 like congestion range. And that's it because nothing Thursday after the close and there's nothing Friday before the open. So you can see like a handful of names, some of them more interesting than others, and like I said at the beginning of the video, the temptation is to play all of them just because they're the only names on the calendar. And again, I think it makes the most sense. Just focus on the quality patterns. And if you have to be patient and hold off, then so be it. There'll be plenty of earnings coming up in the very, very near future. So we're not going to be lacking for action too long. And I think it's going to be kind of a wild earnings season. So it should be plenty to do. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on earnings trading or more information on trading earnings with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you all next week.